Hi, guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on this Supernatural show. And yes, we're doing another episode today, already again. We're on a roll. Today we have some cool stuff. Let me show you. Today we're going to do uh, call ins towards the end of the show. And I've written down here near death experiences, okay? But it does not have to be that. It could be whatever you want to talk about. I'm just trying to maybe trigger some of your memories and things like this, and also help people understand what is supernatural. And we actually have a near death experience, at least one, in the stories today because we have a story from Peggy Sue, we have a story from Chinny, aka Martin. Um, he's wrote in as Chinny before, but I understand his real first name is Martin, and I think Martin's. It's okay that I'm just saying your name, right? Not like I'm giving your last name like I do. Well, I give everything. Hello, and we also have one from Adeline L. A story as well coming from Adeline. And hello there, Roll Tide. Thank you. Enjoying your show. I'm glad you are. And hopefully we're also learning something because that's what we're here to do as well as being entertained. We also want to really, if we can learn something, learn truth as well as be entertained. Hey, that makes it even that much easier to learn, right? So I'm looking forward to that with you. Is that because we're both learning here? An experience, a progression for all of us, you might say. So today we are going to do Peggy Sue, Chinny, aka Martin, and Adeline. I think, unless I'm pronouncing it wrong, Adeline L. And I see your comment there, Bay Area Believer. I appreciate that. It says, love your show and all the information. Thank you. I appreciate you because you're really what's valuable. You're the audience. Without y'all guys, I'd just be talking in a well, basically talking in a corner here. So without y'all guys here, it's useless. So y'all guys that are liking and enjoying the show, please help me. Help me by clicking the thumbs up wherever you're at. If you're on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook, because that's where we're broadcasting to today. We're also going to be jumping over and broadcasting to some other locations as well in the very near future, including, well, Telegram, BitChute, TikTok, and as well as I'm going to be uploading the stories themselves on some blog talk radio kind of stuff. But I haven't started doing that yet. But I'm getting ready to do it. School is in session. We're here to learn and be entertained at the same time. So how fantastic is that? You know? Yeah. Let's see. I actually combed my hair today, believe it or not, as you can see. And yeah, I have a background behind me which looks kind of weird. Let me see if I can, yeah, put my own website background behind me today. And so let's get this thing started. We don't want anyone who watches this a little bit later on to be bored to death. So we're gonna get started with. Let's see. For one, I've already got the call room open. It's all set up to go. So all I have to do is push the little button to share the phone number with you. But we're not gonna call in yet. So I'm gonna hold off on opening up the call room. I've double checked all the numbers and everything to make sure everything's correct. So I'm pretty sure we're just fine. And I'm noticing we're having a little video lag, which I don't doubt because of the not so great internet where I'm at. All right, let's see. So what we got going here? No way. Okay. All right. numbers and people were starting to show up from all over the internet. That's fantastic. So let's go ahead and go over to our stories. Let me pull them up here real quick. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to share my screen here where you can see what I'm looking at there. So let's do that. Let's share my screen. All right, and here we go, sharing the screen. And here we are. And we've got our story. Our story from Peggy Sue. And as this program goes on, of course, I'm trying to figure out different ways to improve things and do things better and make things more interesting, make things work better for me, make things work better for y'all guys. So, yeah, and that's what I've done here with this story. So we're going to read Peggy Sue's story. So let me go ahead and blow up the screen. Hey there, Arizona Nature Chick. I got your submission from the website. I have approved it, and but everything. If you check your email, I sent you a message back. Everything's not functional yet, so that's why I'm not encouraging people to sign up yet. But it's fine. It's just everything isn't working yet on the member side. I got quite a few more hours, more work to do, and with a website, the work never ends anyway. When it when it comes to anything, including life and learning, right? So, all right, let's go ahead and get to our story, right? Let's get to our story. Okay, this is what Peggy Sue wrote in, submitted. She submitted it via the website, which y'all guys can do as well. I'll show you one time real quick. You can submit your story by going to the website, which is called the supernatural.show. Okay, you go there and you can submit it and you write it in, submit it to me. You can attach things to it like photos or links. You can submit it, and or you can also you're able to call in to the show, which we're going to be doing here in just a little while. And you can also even come on the show itself into the studio as a guest, kind of like my co-host does sometimes, Shannon. And unfortunately, Shannon is, well, she's busy today and got important stuff she's doing. So, but she'll be back and be joining us again here real soon, I'm sure. So, all right, let's go ahead and get to our story now. So, Peggy Sue wrote, one day in June of 1998, I was sitting on the side of my bed in a completely quiet house. No one else was there. No TV or radio was on. I had a lot on my mind. I believed our pastor had been wrongly fired and a liberal pastor was replacing him. I'll just make note here. Anything that I've highlighted in a color means I'm going to come back and talk about it, okay? My husband, who was a deacon, stopped attending because of it. Normally, I would follow his lead. And I'm back. It's a rough situation that I'm in here, and I don't. I'm in a hotel room, and the internet is not so great. So I really apologize. to y'all guys. It normally only happens once, maybe twice a show, but I'll come back in as quick as I can if you hang in there. Now let me share my screen again because it canceled all that. But we'll be able to see it here again in just a second. Yeah, there we go. All right, devil, we will not be stopped, and I rebuke you. All right, so let's go back to my husband, who was a deacon, stopped attending because normally I'd follow his lead, but I was the children's ministry leader, and I didn't want to break my commitment. So I was just sitting and thinking about everything that was going on. And when I heard an audible voice say, "Focus on God, not on man," this totally took me by surprise. It was a male voice that sounded as if a man was standing in the bedroom door approximately 3 feet from where I was sitting. I really didn't know what to think. I just knew I wasn't hearing things in my head because it was clear as day and the voice was so real. I didn't tell anyone what happened because I didn't want to sound crazy. I just thought about it constantly and tried to understand what happened and what I was supposed to do with that message. 10 days later, I said to God, "If you want me to focus on you, you're going to have to show me how." Instantly, the scene played out in my mind of Peter in the boat, and Jesus told him to get out and walk to him. So he got out and was walking on the water, but he took his eyes off Jesus and saw the great waves and began to sink. Then Jesus picked him up and put him in the boat. Hang on just a second, guys. I've got to do something I forgot to do real quick. Okay, problem solved. All right, back to the story once again. Okay. Okay, so then Jesus picked him up and put him in the boat. I recognized that story in the Bible, so I searched for keywords and found it and read those scriptures. I wondered if that it meant I was supposed to just ignore the troubled waters in my life. I really wasn't sure at first, but I knew that God knew the whole situation and he was in control, so I decided to look to him and not the problems. God put me to the test right away. As soon as I started thinking about that situation, I literally felt like I was starting to sink. And then I would remember to focus on God, and he lifted me up. This happened multiple times throughout the day, every day. I felt like I was in boot camp, and it was becoming easier to turn my thoughts away from whatever problem came my way. I was learning to trust God. There's so much more to the story and how God would teach and train me in his word. He taught me by bringing scripture to my mind, and I learned to choose his will, not mine. I was learning to live according to the spirit, not the flesh. I could have written a book. I wish I had. I've forgotten so many details, but I'd be willing to tell my story for your audience. Thank you, Peggy Sue. I actually sent a message to Peggy Sue. I don't know if she happens to be here in the audience today listening, but I sent a text message to you and invited you to call in during the, yeah, I think it was I invited you to call in during the call-in part, and we could discuss your experience some more. Okay, so let's go back up just a little bit because I want to talk about a few things about Peggy Sue's story. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. The highlighted areas, right? Okay. Okay, so the first highlighted area, guys, that just caught my attention is her talking about a liberal pastor who was replacing him. And I don't know who this man was, and I'm not his judge, so I can't say anything about what he is or what he was or his intentions, good or bad or whatever. But I will say this is that a large number of the churches have been infiltrated out there. And from the very setup and organization of a church, if a church goes the 501c route, I believe it's what it's called, 501c, if they go that route so that they are tax free, they have to follow certain rules. There's to get that break on the taxes, you have to, let's just say you have to sell out. It's basically the truth. You have to sell out your church, and then your church is not a church for God any longer. You can try and you can do great works in the church, but when your church is selling out to the government, it's like whoever said a church of God, needed to go and get the approval of a government. Where is it that, in my mind, that's just not appropriate? If I'm wrong, somebody can tell me how I'm wrong. Okay. But to me, it's kind of like the same thing with marriage. Why do you need a permission slip from the government to get married? A license, that's what it is. A license, a marriage license is a permission slip to be married. And when you get married, your marriage is supposed to be between you and your wife or your husband and God. It has nothing to do with the legal system. All it does ultimately is gives the legal system the right to make decisions in case of a dissolution of your marriage. And typically one or the other person will get destroyed. Most of the time is the men. Not all the time, because I've heard some horror stories where some women have went through some absolutely horrible things too. Because if the man has a lot of money and he's willing to throw it at it, then he'll destroy the woman. But if you just want to get out of a marriage and be done with it, you can go do what the Bible says do, which is just simply put it on paper, write it down, present it to your wife, and let her know that she's been put away. Simple as that. At least that's what I think. If I'm wrong, tell me how I'm wrong. You can write it in the comments. Or you can tell me if you call in. Okay. All right. So, liberal pastor. Yeah. So, I think we covered that, right? Then she goes on to say that, so I was just sitting and thinking about everything that was going on when I heard an audible voice say, focus on God, not on man. And I can speak from my experience that that is one of the hardest things to ultimately learn to do, because here we are in this world with our senses, meaning our sight, our hearing, our sense of touch, our, sense of taste, all these things, right? Sense of smell, other senses we have. And all of it is based in this world for the most part. And it really, for me, when I first started focusing on God and believing in God and knowing He was there for me, to be honest, it really, I had faith in it and I chose to believe it, even though I was still weak. I had faith in it. I chose to believe it. But I asked God one day, I said, prove it to me. And I didn't say it exactly like that. What I did was I prayed for protection, because at the time I had a warrant out for me in another state. It was just for some, I think I didn't show up to court for a traffic ticket or something. I don't know. A long time ago, about 15 years ago or so. And I was working with some guys that was beside this restaurant. And I went into the restaurant. I knew the owner of the restaurant. He was a friend, and he very much despised the government. And I knew the guy that was running they had a little band there playing, and I knew the guy that had the band, and I was buddies with him too. And I was friends with several other people that were there. And what I did was I knew I had a warrant. I knew I was out in public. I know that I'm a very unique looking guy. Well, not necessarily unique, but recognizable because of my size and my hair. Most people think I'm like a professional wrestler, or they try to relate me to the dog the bounty hunter or some other character on television, that kind of thing, because of my look of being unique. But my looks, my hair, and all that has nothing to do with that. It's about my faith, really. But I asked him to put a bubble of protection around me, and if anyone came after me, that they would be blinded and they would not be able to see me. Now, that sounds like something that there's no way you could do it. There's no way it would work. But yet I asked for it. I prayed for it. And so I'm sitting in the restaurant there one day. I was sitting up at the bar, and the band was playing right behind me. And I was kind of halfway turned looking at the band and halfway talking to a couple of other people that were sitting there. And I didn't know these couple of other people. There was a lady sitting right beside me, and then we were right on the corner end of the bar. And there was a lady sitting beside me, and then there were a couple of men sitting at the end of the bar. And as I'm sitting there, the lady beside me said, she got up, she said, "Oh, excuse me, I'll be back in a minute." Okay. I didn't pay no attention. She went away for a few minutes, then come back and sit down. A few minutes later, two police officers bust in the front door, and they're in RoboCop mode, if you know what I mean by RoboCop mode. Yeah. They come in the door, and at first I didn't see them. I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention. But how I found out they were coming in the door is I heard a male voice in my head. It said, "Get up and walk out now." That's all it said. That's my my word of honor. That's what it said. Get up and walk out now. What did I do? I got up and walked out. When I got up and I turned, like just like this, I turned, and my hair was pretty long then too, and I looked right at them, and the cops were coming in the door. And I turned my head the other way and looked the other way, and there was a door down there that on the back of the building, and there were two cops coming in that one. And then I turned and looked at a third door that was on the other end down there. Let's say this restaurant let's say it was 3,000 square feet, so it wasn't that big. Okay, let's say it was 3,000. And walk out now. So I immediately stood up because I heard, "Get up and walk out now," and I went, mm, looked over there, looked over there, looked there. Here come all these cops. I just got up and started heading towards the door, which is where the two cops are standing. I didn't look at them, not directly. I just ignored them as if they didn't exist. I walked right by them within a foot and a half away from them because they were at the front door. I walked right by them, went out the front door, and hung a left. Walked down the front of the restaurant, and just down the front of the restaurant was a side road that turned in. And I turned right there on the sidewalk and went down that side road. And that was where all the cop cars were parked in the side of the parking lot there. There was several cop cars, like 4 or 5 cop cars. So yeah, there was apparently even more cops. And I seen them in a second because I kept walking straight down that back street going back. And I'm realizing at this point that they didn't see me. And I get this rush of excitement, and I start yelling out loud, making noise, and thanking God. And as I cleared the back of the restaurant building, still walking down the sidewalk going backwards, there was a parking lot behind the restaurant too. and they were there was cops back there looking in cars with their flashlight and looking under the cars, looking for me. They still ain't got me to this day. The warrant's still out there. But I seen them, and uh, the cops looking under the car and all that, and I'm still just laughing and being loud, and I just keep right on walking. Boom, 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 boom. Woo! Yep. And that was a supernatural thing that happened to me because I chose to believe just a little tiny bit. That's all I had was just a mustard seed of faith. I mean, I wanted to believe, and I was doing work for God, and similar to what I'm doing now. It was a very similar kind of thing. And but the Bible says you just need a mustard seed, and I did have that. And whammo, invisible. Half. I mean, two cops in the front door, two cops in the side, and two cops in the back, and cops in the back parking lot, and none of them could see me or hear me. You tell me our God ain't great. And that story I just told you is 100% absolute truth. So help me God. Because I was there and he was there. And it happened. So it makes me think of that when she talks about that she heard a voice, focus on God, not on man. Because I've heard that voice, that male voice. It is unignorable. There was music playing in the background from the band. There was these people talking to me. It's unignorable. To finish the story real quick, and then we're going to go back and finish this and get on with the show here. I went all the way around the block and came back up on the main street, just down the street 1 block away, and went into McDonald's. And I sit down in the McDonald's, went and got me a drink, sit down. And I called my friend who was the band owner, whatever, the head person in the band. And I said, they were there looking for me. He said, yeah. He said, where'd you go? You just vanished. I said, yeah, I know. They couldn't see me. He was like, nobody's seen where you went. Nobody's seen where I went. The lady who was, and then he went on to explain, the lady who was sitting right beside me was Satan's minion, a devil's minion. And she was the one that called the cops. She recognized my voice because, well, I have a recognizable voice. She recognized my voice and she called the cops on me. She had no reason. I'd never met her before, but apparently she didn't like me because of what I do. Okay, so she called the cops. Well, the owner of the restaurant and the band owner spoke to her, and she admitted it. And the restaurant owner banned her and her entire family from his restaurant for life. He trespassed them. Didn't work out too good for her, did it? Nope. And that was her favorite restaurant. And she's so sorry. Too late. Yep. And that's the majority of the story. So I'll leave it with that because we want to get back to going over the rest of this letter here. So let's do that. We also got. She says, I didn't want to tell anyone what happened because I didn't want to sound crazy. Well, see, here's the thing about keeping secrets. And I'm not saying you did because you went on and, there's more to the story, obviously. But this is for the audience about keeping secrets of the supernatural type. The only reason people think that this is crazy talk is because people keep it a secret. If everybody would talk about and admit the truth that we're all witnessing going on, then it wouldn't be crazy anymore. It would just simply be the truth. And the only person that doesn't want to hear the truth and wants to call the truth a lie or call it crazy is a person that doesn't want to know the truth. All right, where did my video go? Hang on, guys. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but hang on if you can. I gotta. I'm back again. It's all right. I'm used to it. They don't get to win. That's right. All right, so let me pull that back up again. I got to share my screen again. That time the connection, the internet connection didn't go down, but something else happened. I don't even know what it was. I just refreshed everything. All right, let's keep going here. Hope everybody in the chat's doing okay. Can you hear me now? Yes, I think saying you can hear me now. 5x5 now. So good, 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 good. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize. Nothing I can do about it currently. We're working on that. Okay, so let's keep on going down here. If you want me to focus on you, you have to show me how. And that made me think again of that story of where you ask God for something, or you ask for something, and then you need to watch for it and look for it and pay attention for it, because you don't want to. You need to be watchful, because you'll get your answer. You can pray and ask for something, and if it's something that would be good in your life, it'll show up. It'll happen. A door will swing open. But you got to be watching for it, and you got to be ready for it. You got to be preparing for your prayer to be answered. If you are praying that you want something to happen, but you take no preparation in preparing for that miracle to come true, you don't have even the belief of a mustard seed. But if you'll prepare and do little thing, do anything that it shows you believe, that you have the belief of a mustard seed, your prayers, if it's God's will be answered. Okay? And there's that part to remember too. Okay, Peter. The scene played out by Peter in the boat and Jesus. Yeah, I forget exactly what I was going to say about that, but again, it's the faith, the mustard seed faith. That's what I'm talking about. You have to believe. You have to take that first step. What's the worst that can happen? You got to take that step. You got to start doing things that show you believe, that you have faith, whatever it is. Okay. All right. And I think that's good enough for that. Let's go ahead and get on to our next story here. But real quick, let me look in the chat and see what's going on over here. If there's anything, I know y'all guys were. Let's see, I'm just reading the chat here. Said somebody just said they may be talking with somebody else. I don't know. Said I would contribute, but no one will allow themselves to be out in the spotlight for it. I'm not judging. I'm only speaking truth. Um, yeah, I don't know. Not sure what you're saying exactly. I would love you for you to contribute to this show if you would like. You can write in. It's easy to write in. You go to the website and submit your story, or you can call in here in just a minute and we can have a conversation, or you can uh, submit an inquiry on the website and become a guest on the show itself and be in full video here with me. So you can definitely participate in this show. Absolutely. All right, let's read our next story. Time's cooking along pretty good, and I don't want to take up too much of y'all guys' time. All right, let me blow this back up one more time so I can see a little bit better. Whoops. Let me get rid of the little button. There we go. Okay. This story is from Cheney, aka Martin. He has written in again before previously. His other story is already in the Supernatural book. This is the first writing of the book right here, actually. And yeah. All right, guys. We need to say a little prayer. Father, I know I am an imperfect man, a sinful man that has done things and still continues to walk some imperfect steps. But Father, I'm trying to do your work, Father, and I ask that you protect me and you protect this show and allow me to do this work without being interrupted by the ones that are being sent to interrupt me. I love you, Father, and I love the truth. And yet I know I'm undeserving, but I am trying to do what I'm supposed to do and to do what I believe is good and right. So, Father, I ask that you protect me in this hour, and I ask that you protect this show and let me do this work. This work builds me. It not only builds the show, it builds me. It builds my soul. It, it's what I do that I know is right, and I do it for the glory of God, our Father in heaven, and His Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. There's things going on in the background that you can't see, but I can. Out of my window right here. Okay, let's try to get this story from Cheney, A.K. Martin. Hi, Daniel. Here's another story that I have to share. Just recently, I went to Ohio to go to a conference, and it was due to my confession in going into the deliverance ministry. The reason I decided to pursue it was due to my friend. He was going through some extreme oppression, financial struggles, fights with everyone he meets, his resentful personality, etc. And I decided to read 91 Psalms and 23 Psalms to my friend. He slightly resisted, but then he embraced it. So I decided to pray for him again over the phone. And then the demon manifested within him. I started to see, sorry guys, hang on. Okay, I started to see that there was something in him, It snarled, it bickered, and it said to shut up. I remained quiet and tried casting him out, and realized that it was going to pray about it. I'm not sure what that statement means. That's why I had it highlighted. I think there was a little typo there. I don't know if you meant I realized that it was going that you were going to have to pray about it or something like that. Anyways, now back to the conference. I wanted to dedicate it to that moment so I can be able to find a way to help people who are going through spiritual oppression. Because of what I witnessed. So I booked my tickets and I go to the conference. It was it was it was the Through the Darkness, which features Tom Dunn. He is an apprentice of Rush Desnar. I'm not aware of those people, but okay. From there I took an Uber and literally went there so early that I could be able to tell the people hosting the event that I wanted to offer my photography services for free because of what he was doing for the kingdom of heaven. A lot of people thought I was a spy or agent because I wasn't from the area, and that I was suspicious of offering my services, but I truly just wanted to help and learn more about deliverance. Okay, sorry guys, trying to work through the distractions that are going on. Okay, they ended up embracing me and allowing me to shoot photography. After the show is done, I decided to get an Uber back to the Airbnb that I'm staying at. Now I wake up and get ready to go for the second and final day of the conference. As I'm getting ready, I look at myself and cry and say, Father, I'm not worthy of this. I was such a bad man. I was so bad, but I just want to help people. I want people to know you. So many people are deceived in the world. I then ended up bowing down. I felt feeling to bow down. Then from there, I kid you not, I heard Jesus say, I know you love me. Get up, in the most softest voice. I got up. It sounds like the voice I heard in that restaurant. Very similar kind of thing. Let's see. I got up and finished getting ready. After that, I bid my Airbnb host farewell. I only booked for one night and left. From there, as soon as I went to the conference, it started. Now, in the back of my mind, I have no idea where or how I'm going to stay because I don't have a lot of money left. I go and enjoy the conference, and then as lunch begins, a guy named John talks to me and says, Hey man, do you want to go out for lunch? Me and my friends are going, and I'd love to have you. I'm like, Of course, man, no problem. He then says, Hey, do you also need a place to stay? I can provide one for you if you don't have one. I'm like, Huh? I'm like, Of course. He says, Okay, let's eat, and then we can talk more about something. Lo and behold, lo and behold, wow, like how did that even happen? He also professed that he wasn't even going to stay long, and he dropped me off at the airport after the conference was done. Lord always looking out, you know, even if we're not. But there was a pretty interesting thing that happened while I was there. When I spent that night at his place, I went to a specific room, and the room had a strange feeling about it. At night, I witnessed a red light and an eye like a lot of demonic cursive words. I'm not quite sure exactly what you were saying there either. Were you saying you witnessed like a red little orb floating around? I'm wondering. Um, and then it says, and an eye like a lot of demonic cursive words, curse words. Maybe you were saying curse words there, and I'm not sure about the eye thing, but anyways, I'm just asking you to clarify maybe. Okay, you can respond to the email. Worst case. So with that, we're there. While I was while I was in a New Age religion previously, because this gentleman wrote in previously and told us about his past experience with New Age religion. I did open up. See, when I was in New Age religion previously, I did open up things, and I also have telepathy, apparently, hearing people's thoughts, etc. I cast it out in the name of Jesus, and it did eventually leave. But yeah, that's pretty much my other testimony. Walk by faith, not by sight, even when you think it's not in your favor. It is. Let's read that again. Walk by faith, not by sight, even when you think it's not in your favor. It is. You know, I mean, this is makes me think about, and I'm sure it does y'all guys too, makes you think about the experiences that you've had, experiences that I've had, um, and reconfirms our faith because other people experience these things similarly, you know? Okay. I think I covered the highlights enough in that, and we're running a little bit behind due to some problems and distractions. So I'm going to go ahead and come on down here and read this last short story, okay? And then I'm going to go to the comments, and then we may open up the lines here to take a call, okay? So this story is from Adeline. Oh, man, thank you so much for sending that second story in again. I greatly appreciate it. It's an amazing thing to see how these things work and to learn more about it, and that it's happening not just to you but to many people. So yeah, so thank you for writing in again, buddy. I appreciate it. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this next one correctly. Is it Adalyn or Adeline? Doing the best I can. I say Adalyn because there's Ada County in Idaho where I used to live, and it was pronounced Ada. So, anyways, here is Adelyn's story. It was winter, and this is a cool one too. It's short, but it's very cool. It was winter, and my husband and I were on our way from the store, on our way home from the store. My husband was driving. There was a 2-lane road that we were on. A red light came on, and there was a truck in each lane in front of us. My husband tried to stop, but the brakes were iced up, and we could not stop. The steering did not work, and we knew that we had it. We were going head on into both trucks. The only thing we could do was hold on. Then we saw 2 giant hands come in between the trucks and push both trucks to the side. Somehow we ended up in the middle of both trucks, and our car stopped right on the line. The drivers of the pickup trucks both looked out their windows in disbelief. When the light turned green, We let the trucks go, and then we started to proceed home. The steering was back and the brakes were de-iced. We guessed it wasn't our time to die yet, and that's exactly what it was. And as I've explained before, I've experienced not that exact same thing, but uh, when I lived in Idaho, I mean, a number of times I slid all the way through red lights. The roads would get iced up, and you'd go to hit the brakes, and the vehicle you were in would go sideways. And I've told true stories as well on here about me running off bridges into the swamps and not even get the tires on the truck dirty and the trucks put back on the road, and I just keep getting it. Or running around this 90-degree turn that I didn't see coming in Kentucky when I was in the military, and I come to the turn. There was 90-degree turn to the right, and there was no straight. And I seen the sign pass me at the last second that said "Road's going that way, dummy." And all of a sudden, I black out for a couple of seconds. The other three guys in the car black out. Next thing we know, we're on the road going the way we're supposed to, driving straight ahead. Nobody in the car could remember how we got around the curve. Yep. So these things happen, guys. This isn't fantasy. This isn't fiction. This isn't lies. These things happen. And how do they happen? Because this is a supernatural world we live in. That we have a God, a Father, a Creator that is there and controls these things on this much notice, just like that. I've seen it over and over and over in my life proven to me like that. It's the most amazing thing because I should be dead. I should be a dead sinner, but I'm not. Truly amazing. Then I saw two giant hands come in between the trucks and push both trucks to the side. Wow. You said your husband was there also. Did your husband see this, Adeline? Did your husband see the hands? As I'm curious. Maybe you would write me back, respond to that email that I sent back to you, and tell me if your husband, you know, seen this happen. I would really like to know that. Okay. And I believe you. I absolutely believe you because it's happened to me. Not the hands thing, but these kind of supernatural, like, nope, you're not killing yourself today. Like the time I was in the car with two other people when I was about 18 and we ran off a curve at 140 mile an hour and went end over end, flipping the car, hit three pine trees, and the car didn't have any interior in it. All it had was the seats. Everything else was raw metal, and I didn't get a scratch. That's the God's truth. Just like that. He's always there. He's right there with each of you now, and he has angels around you. People who would watch this show are the kind of people who are highly protected individuals, and you're supposed to believe and live your life that way. It does not believe you're supposed to provoke God, of course, doing dumb stuff like I've done before. But I was lucky enough, Father wanted to keep me around for this work, what I'm doing with y'all guys. So thank God he did want to keep me around because I know where I would have went back then, you know. Uh, would have been good. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and jump back over here. Put that up again so y'all guys know where, if we've got some new people in here, so you know where you can submit your story so that I can read it and comment on it and discuss it with you a little bit. You can submit it in writing just like that, what you've seen. Or um, you can also write in and let me know that you want to be a guest on the show. right here with me, or you can call in. And as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, we are going to do a call in right now. So if you want to tell a supernatural story, some element of it being supernatural, and yes, God is supernatural. Um, you can call this number now. It's just a phone call, and you'll be talking with me, and the people that are watching this will be able to hear it, and nobody won't be able to see you or anything. You call the number 512-647-1431, and then it's going to ask you for a PIN number, okay? The PIN number has to be followed by the pound sign, okay? You have to put the PIN number in and then hit pound. So you would just simply type on the phone 2270-2712-81 pound. And we have our first caller. Well, what do you know? Fantastic. Well, not our first caller, but first caller for this show, anyways. So that is fantastical. So we'll pull that back down for a moment. Guys, hang on for a second. I'll be right back. Somebody playing games, knocking on my door. Knock on the door and run. I don't know what it was. Anyways, let's get going here. Hi, this is Daniel. Welcome to the Supernatural Show. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. We can hear you good too.
Good.
How are you today?
Yes. I'm doing well.
That's good.
This is Peggy Sue.
Hey, Peggy. Oh, this is Peggy Sue. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we
Yes,
let me pull your story back up again. You calling to talk about it a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see if I can pull your story back up here, so we'll have that up while we're discussing it with you. Let's see here what I do with it. Oh yeah, it's on my shared screen right here. As a matter of fact. Okay. All right. Let me pull you up here, Peggy, and then we will get to talking. Thank you so much for calling in, Peggy.
You're welcome.
Did you get my text message?
I did.
Okay, good.
And I was looking for the live show, and I couldn't find it right away, so I didn't hear the whole
whole show?
Everything that you said about it.
Okay.
I got in towards the end.
Okay. Well, mainly I talked about the liberal pastor thing a little bit, and I was just saying I'm not his judge, and I don't know who it was, but I was just saying there's a lot of churches who have been infiltrated out there, and so I understand that. I understood that aspect of it, I guess. And then I spoke a little bit talking about how you said focus on God, not on man.
Right.
And talking about the strength that comes from that, and the having that little bit of faith, what it can do for you, and those kind of things. And I think I got into a little bit of a story as well that I went through, a related experience kind of thing. And then I talked about a little bit about what you said about not wanting to sound crazy, why you didn't tell anyone before and stuff like that. And the fact, and I was just saying how it's not crazy. There's so many things in this world um, that we don't talk about, and people are scared to talk about them. And the only reason people think they're crazy is because people just don't talk about them. And we shouldn't be afraid. If something is truth, something that happened or whatever, if it's truth, we should all be, and this is more for the audience, I'm not correcting you necessarily, anything like that, is that, we should all be proud of the truth no matter what it is, you know.
Right. Well,
So,
I would talk to people. I mean, there were a few times here and there that I would tell someone, but they would just like almost not even respond. I mean, I did test it here and there, but in the beginning, I didn't say much. I mean, I'm not even sure. Can you hear me?
oh yeah, we can hear you great. You're coming through awesome.
Okay. All right. The screen changed, so I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah, no,
And
that was me. I'm changing
do
it.
you hear cracking on the phone, or
Crackling?
is it just
No, I don't hear any crackling.
cracking?
N-
Does it sound okay? Because it sounds like it's crackling on the phone.
Oh gosh, sorry about that, but no, you sound good on my side.
So okay, as long as you don't hear it, that's good.
Okay.
Um, so, um, but yes, I told select people, but it was almost like they just didn't, had never heard of anything like that before, and they didn't really know what to think.
Right.
So,
And the reason is because our society chooses to hide the truth, chooses to deny when something happens to us that is beyond natural, meaning supernatural. Society has taught us to not talk about God, to not talk about angels, to not talk about miracles. Overall, yeah, you can go to church in some places and you can talk about it, but in public, it's like, yeah, I get it. How people look at you like they're like, huh, like because they can't relate maybe, or they don't have faith and don't believe in, because your mind, from birth, we get trained to be such a robot, and so yeah, I can relate to that a lot, Peggy Sue.
but I would like to mention that I don't think that this had anything to do with my faith at the time. It was just my willingness to just ask how how do I focus on you?
Uh huh.
And I mean, it wasn't like I have faith in you, God. You tell me. It was just as simple as uh, really as simple as a child just saying, um, "Please, uh, I want a glass of water," and being given a glass of water. But it overflowed. It was um, this was um, I mean, I didn't explain a lot of this, but I was given so much that so much information. I could not tell you what it was. In fact, I finally said, after like 2 or 3 hours, I have no idea. Um, I was being filled with, like God's word, just speaking to me, not in audible.
Hmm.
That was the only audible uh, voice that I heard.
Yeah.
But I was started being taught, and I finally just said, I cannot. I'm only human. I can't contain all of this. And that's in the scripture. There would always be scriptures that would come to my mind, and I'm not a Bible person. I have been to church most of my life, and I've heard scriptures, but these were like direct answers to everything, and it was like, I will remind you of everything I've told you. It would never be like the exact words of a scripture, but enough to where I could look up and
Yep.
see, oh yeah, God will remind me of everything
That's
He has
that's
taught me. And
exactly very, 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 very similar. Exactly how he does it with me too, Peggy.
hmm
That's
okay,
he plants, like I'll pray for knowledge about something, okay, and I'll be laying in bed or meditating or even just working or doing whatever, and all of a sudden I I, I like see something or hear something in a thought in my head, And I know I got to stop what I'm doing. And I've stopped and I think about what it is and I analyze what it is because I know that's how I get spoken to. Now, I've heard the audible voice also, which I told earlier in the show. I've heard the audible voice, and I get the solutions and answers to so many things, like a lot of the investigative work that I've done in the past 10 years, if you're familiar with that work or not, over on my other channel. But a lot of that
Yeah.
work, a lot of those answers, a lot of that literally understanding what the white horse is and what the red horse is that's coming, and knowing and being led to it. I mean, it's amazing. But the key is, and I think you would maybe agree with this, maybe, is to ask, to say, God, if you want me to focus on you, show me, and He will answer. But then you have to be paying attention, right?
Well, I could not pay attention. It just happened. It wasn't even conscious. It wasn't a conscious effort on my part. It just a scene played in my head, and I mean, it was like a baby being fed. A baby doesn't have to really ask. I mean, they can cry, of course, and you can give them something for to pacify them. But um, I really felt like I was being this relationship with God was starting in its infancy, and um, I I was just being taught and trained to walk in His way, to live according to the Word, uh, and to trust. I was being taught to trust. I did not know trust. I didn't understand faith, even though I
Right.
had. I mean, obviously, I'd been in the church, and I didn't feel qualified to even be the children's ministry leader. I was just doing it because the the people, there was a big split in our church, so that's what the big turmoil was. And um, they asked me, not like the first or second choice, but just they, I did do work in like the arts and crafts part of the children's ministry, so I was kind of low on the ladder, and I'm like, who am I? I'm not a leader. I'm not a teacher, and I didn't think that a woman, we were taught that women aren't supposed to be leaders anyway, and and with my husband leaving, I felt totally unqualified to be there. Uh, but I, one thing I was a very faithful, obedient wife, and all I can say is I believe that that's what God needed for that situation, and I did submit to God, and I obeyed. That's how I stayed. I kept my eyes on Him, and I followed Him. Um, I did things that I could never get into everything, but every everything that I was faced with, uh, I like I said, I chose God's will and not mine, because I would not have done uh, all the things that I did. I just didn't focus on my abilities, um, and when I made that step, then God, like God would speak through me. He would give me inspiration. He would, or not inspiration, meaning um, He taught me the lessons to teach the kids. In fact, I don't know, I don't want to go ramble on and on, but there was just there was a lot to this whole thing
So,
over a period of intensely over a period of, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. I would even have to think about, but it was real. I don't know, unnatural. It was not natural. It was not, of me, of my flesh. It was definitely of God.
So part of your a part of your story that talking about faith and stuff, talking about Peter in the boat and going out on the water and that having the faith. I mean, I guess you'd say that's it's using the symbolism of that to help people understand just that first step, putting your toe, even just touching the water, putting your foot out on the water. I was saying earlier, I think that when let's say you're praying for a miracle or something, but yet you don't put your foot out on the water. You don't do something that shows that you have even the smallest amount of faith, like the mustard seed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Okay.
by doing anything of moving forward, like you're expecting your gift to come, your miracle, or whatever it is, if it's God's will, because I know I've prayed for things I didn't need in the past, many years ago, being, how we all are when we're growing up. I mean, I remember praying for, I don't know, money or something stupid, and, but I know now it's more about what God's will is. And if it is God's will and you're praying for it, or maybe you're praying for guidance, or whatever you're praying for, but you need to, in my opinion, you need to do something or do some things, even if it's just anything to show you have faith that it will happen or it will come to pass or that you will get the answer to what it is you're looking for. You got to put your hand on the side of the boat if you're going to go out on the water to Jesus, and you got to step across the boat out on and get ready to step onto the water. You got to take those steps of faith and focus on God, not on man.
Right. See, there was 10 days that I was thinking and trying to use my own understanding, trying to figure out this message. And really, even in the beginning, I was like, was this from God or was this? I mean, that's how crazy. I mean, I look back now, it's like, of course it was from God. And I did conclude that. That's when I finally just said, if you want me to focus on you, show me how. Because I'm like, I've never heard of anyone hearing an audible voice. And
Yeah.
I didn't,
Did you
so I never gained anything trying to figure it out on my own.
did you hear me say one of the times when I've heard audible voice? Did you hear me talk about that?
Um, Something about to leave,
Yeah, get up now.
uh,
Get up and walk out now.
get up now. Yes,
Get up
yes,
and walk out
I did
now,
hear
it
that.
said. And immediately upon hearing that, I look around, of course,
Got up.
and there are those uh, um, train robbers, basically cops. You know, anyways, they were coming in the doors, and I got up and walked out, like it said, and it would have been suicide. You would have thought, because to hear something say, get up and walk out now, and you look and there's cops coming in, and you got a warrant, and you're going to go walk towards the cops. You have to have
Yes,
faith. Keep your mind on God, not on man, not on the cop, because if God doesn't want him to see you, he will not. And those men were blinded that day and could not see me. There were like a dozen cops there trying to find me. And I'm being loud. I'm obvious to see, and they couldn't see me. And that happened. And that's why I know that it happened to you, that God spoke to you. And these things are real. Yes, there's supernatural people out there listening. They're real. Yes, they're supernatural, but this is the world that we live in. And the more you try to connect with God, the more you talk to him. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just pretend like it's your father, and because he is, and just talk like you're talking to your father, and tell him to lead you. Say, I don't know even know what to pray for, Father, and tell him to teach you, to help you understand what you should do. and then have faith because the answers will come.
That's good.
Right, Peggy Sue?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Let me go back to your letter again here. And anything else you would like to share too, Peggy Sue, I would love to hear it, whether it's related to this exactly or not. Um, Tell me about a little bit, if you don't mind, Peggy Sue, about the ignoring troubled waters. What do you mean by that? A little bit.
Well, I had not only the issues in church that I felt were, you know, a problem that, like what do I do with that information? How do I right that wrong? Like as if I'm able to do that, but it's like, what, should I do something about it? I wasn't sure. That was beforehand. I was trying to figure out, should I do something? Because the church that I went to had a headquarters, and I felt like I should report this, and or just. Um, but besides that, my husband was, well, we had not had a good marriage, and there was a lot of uh, rockiness there, a lot of troubled waters.
Right.
And God taught me, I, I asked him, what am I supposed to do? Just turn a blind eye to how he mistreats me? And, um, well, there's a whole storyline with how he led me through not just everyday troubled waters, but also him taking up with another woman and finding out. I mean, he really, I don't know, it's just more than I can even tell, but there's a lot that,
Right.
um, that he led me through and showed me things that even he said, there's no way that you could have found this out on your own. He would show me um, aspects like, phone calls and various things. But even I knew that there was conversation on the internet, and I kept saying, I just want to know the truth, and you are truth, and that's all I want to know is truth, and please show me what's going on, and um, every morning, every chance I got, I would try to get on, and I couldn't. I got spy software, and tried to find out. And then this one day, and it was the most perfect day, and I can't even explain everything, leading up to this, but
You're doing great.
um, I opened it up. I opened up his computer. He was just gone for like an hour, and I opened it up, and I was able to read his email, and it reiterated everything. So it painted the whole picture of what had been going on, and
You mean the things that were
I
going on behind your back kind of stuff?
right,
Right.
exactly, and his intentions, and to leave me and all of
So it
that.
was all
And
exposed to you and shown to you.
yes, in the most perfect timing. That's all I can say. It was over a month, maybe 2 months, if I look back. Um, but and I'm thinking, what should I do? And my my first thought was, hey, throw his clothes out, kick him out. And
Right.
I thought about this, and I drove around, and I actually came home that night. I just was too upset to even go back and see him. And it was his day off, so he was there all day. And I thought, well, I better go. I better go home. I don't know what to do. Um, then I just said, what do you want me to do? And forgive. It's just forgive. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, I forgive, because he really taught me about forgiveness that whole week, like in a big way. And so it's like, okay, I'll forgive.
Well, the
I
normal
do
reaction
regret.
would have been bitterness and vengeance.
Um,
I say normal reaction would have been that, but actually that's
I,
not. What you did was more appropriate because there's nothing for you to gain, as you already know, but there's nothing for anyone to gain through vengeance or bitterness. Um,
right.
there's literally, it's like, okay, go ahead and let's write down what is it that you think you can gain from trying to hurt someone or destroy them or burn up their stuff or like,
And I wanted to protect my kids because I didn't want them to be traumatized like I was.
right?
And so they actually did not learn this until maybe 3 years ago. And they're in their 30s.
Okay,
And this
well,
was
they're definitely
over
adult.
20 years
They're
ago.
definitely adult now, so maybe they could handle it better than knowing about it when they were a lot younger.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that
But
stuff don't make any
I
sense
do
to a
wish
child,
that I had insisted on marriage counseling, because he, even though he said, "Oh, I want to be with you now," it after like 2 weeks he pulled away from me again, and I had basically almost 20 years of silent treatment, except for when he got mad. So I didn't do things exactly the way I should have. I interpreted things like, well, I forgave him, he accepted it, um, but I didn't. I really didn't know what else to do. I was traumatized, and
yeah,
I was alone.
yeah.
I was alone.
You had invested your life and your love and everything into this man, I'm sure. And you had how many
I had
children?
3.
Three. And so, and then you find out, of course, you already kind of knew, but then you find out all this is going on, and then you have to try to figure out, uh, do I do all these crazy things that we all hear of other people doing and stuff, or do I just forgive him and move on? You know, did you hear my video when I was discussing? It was on my other channel where I was discussing the Garden of Eden and how talking about a woman's place, the man's place, and God's place, and how all that functioned. Did you happen to see that?
Was that recent?
Well, it was
What?
probably a few months ago, at least a few months ago. It was,
Yeah, I don't think I did. I've not really been on YouTube much at all. I've watched you for, I don't know, several years, but I've been off of um, social media
yeah,
a lot. I haven't been watching that many videos lately.
yeah. Well, I'm honored to have you here, and I thank you for being brave because this is stuff that's very personal, and I think it's awesome that you're being brave and sharing it so that people can learn from what your experiences were. And just
Yes,
even
and
that
that's the
itself
main
is
thing.
is
If,
part of the
if
healing.
someone wants to, if it helps someone else in
Right.
some way, that's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's good for you too, because it's good to know that other people have these experiences as well and
Hmm.
how they get through them. and how they got their faith, how they got that mustard seed and started growing it, and also how they learned when it is appropriate to ignore the troubled waters, because that's ultimately what you did. Instead of attacking him and doing all these things and smearing him and trying to take his children completely from him, you ignored, you chose to ignore things that would have been bitter and would have ended up hurting more than just you. The children had something to lose too. So I think you did a
Mm-hmm.
great job.
Okay. I have to say the one thing I really did not understand was why I never got peace from that. Like I didn't think I would ever get over that trauma, and because it's the Bible, but like I couldn't even read the Bible or think about the Bible anything without all the scriptures coming to mind that would remind me of everything that I've been through. Because I don't know, that's the one thing I just didn't understand. I never got peace.
Still never, to this
Um,
day, even you
uh,
haven't gotten peace till this
but
day. Still,
I'm not traumatized like I was, but it took. I can't even tell you how long I felt trauma from that,
yeah,
and I felt
I can
in a
relate.
way I felt the same, and it's like I don't know why. I
Yeah,
did everything you told me to do.
I think it's a human condition that we have to learn how to deal with. Um,
Yeah, well, I did. I dealt with it, but I still didn't understand it.
yeah, yeah. I, I know what you mean. I've been through some traumatic things directly related to relationships, and absolutely, even still. Um, well, Peggy Sue, darling, thank you so much for calling in, and
Okay.
explaining more about your story and what happened, and wow, it's a really great call. You really did a great job in communicating well, understandable. Everybody is making great comments about you and everything, wishing you well, and I thank you so much. And I know that there's a good chance that you have other stories too that maybe you could write in again about, or just call in again sometime. I'll always be happy to hear from Peggy Sue.
Hey. And by the way, I've noticed someone today couldn't stop thinking about Buddy Holly. I was named after that
Peggy Sue,
song, Buddy Holly song, on
you
the day the music died.
oh
On
yeah,
Yeah, on that very
that's an interesting song and an interesting lyrics, and yeah, that's a
I,
trip.
I my parents didn't even know, didn't put the two together because I was adopted, and so they didn't realize that he was killed on that very day because they didn't even know they were going to get me until 2 weeks later.
Wow,
I found it out later, and like, wow, that's did you know this? Nope, never knew that. Never
wow,
put two and two together. So
right,
just an interesting piece of
yep,
information. That's all.
indeed. Well, when you come up when you thinking about things and stuff, if you think of another supernatural story, please get back a hold of me, okay?
Okay, I
And
will.
call in again sometime and let us know how things are going.
All right,
Okay.
very good.
All right.
Well, thank you, and thanks to everyone that was listening and giving
You
me
know,
encouragement.
everybody
Encouraging words.
thank Peggy Sue for calling in today and speaking with us and sharing her time and her even some events that happened in her life. And I sure hope that you get complete peace. And I hope that it helped to be able to talk about it like this. And if you need to talk about it more and you'd like to speak to me privately about it anytime, all you gotta do is let me know, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, darling. You have a great day, okay?
You too.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
Well, guys, that was Peggy Sue. You heard that story she wrote that I read. I think it was first I read it. And then here she is. She managed to call right in for us. So that worked out pretty awesome. I'm sitting here looking at the chat right now and just seeing if I've missed anything. Yeah, it's hard to forget traumatic experiences, but keep praying because God's peace surpasses all understanding. It just does, and that is absolutely true. But you know, I would never sit here and say that I have learned how to do all these things perfect and I'm at peace and all these. I mean, I'm going through trials even right now and traumatic trials, and I'm not a perfect man either, and it's hard on me. So if you're going through tough times out there, realize that we're all in this, and we're all trying to figure out, how to improve it and how to get better and do better, and that's what life is about. That's what life is about, and that's what this show is about. It's about learning, and yeah, there's some entertaining stories sometimes, but we're here to learn. This is class, you might say. And guys, I greatly appreciate y'all guys for being here today. I hope that if you're here, you'll take the time to go over and share one of your supernatural stories. It can be about anything, guys. Anything that's outside of the realm of normal, um, like going out and taking pictures of something that you see in the sky, in the heavens, or maybe there's a plant that's growing on your property that's a mutant plant and you want to share it with me, or the list is a mile long. So don't assume that your story won't be good to be told here. If all the classifications are is it outside of natural or normal? Is it supernatural? And is it true? If the answer is yes to those two things, I want to hear your story, whatever it is. It don't have to be. It don't have to be necessarily a testimony uh, like this or some others. It can be. It can be anything as long as it's supernatural and true. We've got a lot of subject matter, a lot of things to go over, and a lot of things to learn. And we're all going to have to participate if this is going to work. You can't expect me and just a few other people to do this and hey, you got a great show. No, you're the show. You're why I'm here doing this. I mean, I don't make a dime doing this show. You know, I don't. It's not monetized at this point. It's a small show. But I know it'll grow, and I'll benefit from it as time goes on. But this is about you. This isn't really. I mean, yeah, I'm learning too, and yes, I want to learn it, but I got to learn from you. This show and this platform, and it's you. It's about you. It's for you. It's for us. So make sure to get over to the website and submit your story. You know, yeah, please do that. And let me check the comments one more time here, real quick. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I guess I guess that's it for today, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all guys go and get out of here. We've been an hour and 35, 36 minutes now, so go ahead and let you go for today. Know that I love you. Know that our Father in heaven loves you, and we'll see you again. I probably won't be doing a show tomorrow. Probably won't, but the next day. I'll be right back again. Okay, guys? I love you. Father in heaven loves you. Take care.